Hello, everyone. Welcome to the State of the Market, February 2024. Al, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Bill?
Good. Happy to do this. Sorry to everyone that this had to be delayed. Sometimes life happens, and happy that we got to get on here to shoot the shit for a little bit.
Yeah, no, good stuff. And that's sometimes life gets in the way. So
That's right. Um, so, I guess first thing, have you noticed anything with the market or not particularly? Kind of feels like we're in a holding pattern at this point.
I feel just at a high level strength. At least in the things that I'm trying to go after. Like I looked at the PWCC this weekend. I know that we're talking about February, but this last one here yesterday, and you know, I didn't win much, and the things that I won, I had to pay more than I expected. So yeah, I just think, I mean, obviously, it's not every card, it's not every situation, but just feeling the market, I feel like there's strength, and it could be, the stock market's at all-time new highs, cryptos at all-time new highs. So I mean, it could just be, it's not that type of strength. It's not all-time new highs. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like the strength at the bottom of the pyramid, and it actually, it's too early to panic and get FOMO, right? But I did wonder if we've clearly kind of locked in the bottom, which was generally a theme of some of my thoughts coming into this year. And then number two, if the year of the collector will be, number two will be more like half a year of the collector, as opposed to the full year. Again, I'm projecting a lot on very little information, so
Sure.
I'm not saying that's the way. I'm not even, prognosing that's where we're gonna go. But I do feel like there's more strength than I expected at this point in the year. Again, I'm not panicking. I'm not getting FOMO, but it definitely is something that I'm feeling. What are you feeling?
Yeah, it's kind of like almost like it's um feels like the waters are mixing a little bit, right? Like it's you're starting to see maybe people who are really getting a little worried because we haven't seen that uptick yet, that maybe they've been holding on to things for a while and now they're having to let some things go. Like we've seen all those Alifa Pele's getting released over the last month and a half or 2 months, and um, but I wonder if like they might have sold it at the last time when they wouldn't have wanted to. And I kind of agree with you that I didn't really get to see a whole lot of what happened last night with the most recent PWCC, but I do have it as one of our things to look through. And yeah, I mean, that's a good sign. I mean, I just have noticed that, people are releasing some nicer stuff or some things that we haven't seen in a while. And so I wonder if that's going to really tighten up as we progress through this year again, where people are like, oh, now I don't have to worry because, like you said, other things are doing well, other investments, that they're not, just going to bail on their cards. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I think, it's like you say, it's a data point, but it's not a trend yet, and we'll see
Yeah,
where we're at, like in June.
yeah, that's what I think. I think let's see if it kind of stabilizes here over the next 3 or 4 months. Take
Yeah,
another take another look at it. I have generally, I mean, been thinking, felt a little bit like this in February, and now I'm feeling even more like this in March. That it may be, it may not be the full year of the collector. It may just be
yeah,
part of the year. I haven't dug a tremendous amount and we don't tend to do that on these videos, in the lower end sales, like things less than $100. So my instinct and what I have seen on a few still shows that there's some relative weakness in what I'll call cheap slabs. And that actually is really collector grade stuff, if you're just looking for a copy type things. So I still think that there's, good opportunity there, but even like what I'll call mid-tier stars, again, I don't know if we'll see any in this video, but like Hugo Sanchez, there was a time when, like a few months ago even, where 5/6 of his 78 sticker were selling for less than $50. And now I feel like even already now those are above 100 in kind of where I've tracked. So that's obviously a dramatic increase over a short period of time, and maybe those were just anomalies. They just got lost in the the soup for a while. But yeah, there's some, I feel like there's definitely been momentum to the top side, but you could say that almost about any asset class, and certainly not to the extent you see in other asset classes.
Yeah, and cards are typically delayed reaction, both ways. They're kind of, financial markets or the crypto especially. It's usually like, it feels like about a 3-month delay. So maybe this trend is going to be happening, and we see, because people have to kind of recalibrate their emotions, like, oh, I still don't know, just because crypto's gone crazy, that I'm going to be able to spend or that I don't know that it's going to stay up, right? They're still nervous. And so they have to become more comfortable with the situation that, they're at a different level, and then they can start spending some money on cards again. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. That's something, at least there's something for us to keep an eye on in regards to that. So I did kind of just before we do this, I did pull some data like through today. So like auctions that ended last night and things like that. So it is called February, but it's through, basically
mid-March
when we record.
Week plus. Yeah.
So, all right, let's get going on the Golden Elite auction to start. We'll see if there was anything we found intriguing. So let's see here.
I got a couple things here, but I just can't remember what it was. But I'll probably see it as we roll through.
Oh, and as you were talking about the low collector dollar or collector grade stuff, yeah, I mean that definitely hasn't moved, because I feel like I've been buying a lot of like $20 to $70,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
from Golden and PWCC. So, yeah, it just feels like there's deals to be had there, especially on things that I don't even really see that often. It's pretty interesting, but we'll see where it goes. All right, so this was the last. This ended 2 Saturdays ago, on the 2nd of March, and I think this was really the last Alifa we've seen sell, and this was a 3, went for 18, which feels like it's in line with all the other ones. It doesn't feel like it went for like a major discount relative to the other ones because it was the last one. Maybe it's a little lighter, but I feel like,
and it's also coming. Yeah, it's coming on the tail end of,
a lot of them.
15% of the pop or something that traded here over the last 3 or 4 months.
Probably true. Yeah.
which is, I mean, you gotta assume you're getting some market. The market needs a break. They need to take a breath, right? So you got to assume that a lot of people that were looking for these filled them in that last 3 to 4 months. So, you know, I on a relative basis, I think this is a pretty good holdup
Yeah.
for where the market was.
Yep. All right. And this
So
is
those kind of
yeah. It was surprising these are in the elite. Like, to be honest, right? Like
yeah,
these.
yeah. So, but that shocked me. That Alcantara. So it felt like somebody doesn't know they can go on Toto and pick one of these up for like 60 euros or something.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what, like, if they're available anymore. They may be. But yeah, that's a solid one. I think it's just because in the auctions people aren't doing research, and so they're like, oh, this is. I mean, it's a card. It's a a headshot. It's like all of the things that
Checking a
Americans.
lot of boxes. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think that's probably what caught their eyes, and just not being able to, or not seeing it. And it just looks old, right? Like it just has that
Yeah.
look to it. So
Yeah. These had starting bids at 100, and I actually thought that they may struggle to get them, but Seb is saying that those have been hard to get under 200 on Toto. So yeah, I mean, I guess certainly in the case of the Cimetier, that's probably a decent deal because you're getting it graded, right? Which takes time. These are the oversized holders, but still, it's I mean, these there's a lot to like here in terms of the headshot. The backs are cool. Certainly cool items. I have these in my collection, so I'm not trying to dump on them. I just feel like $500 seems like a lot relative to some
strong.
of the other stuff.
Yeah, relative to like what other things are selling for, especially in that price range typically, or the what we consider lower dollar ones. Yeah, it is strong relative to other Spanish issues in particular. So yeah, nice to see though, with my crazy bias towards those.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like them. I have them.
Oh, did I not sort this by dollar? Yeah, that's probably why. Okay. I'm like, man, why did we already get to $400? Like, this is crazy in an elite auction. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Still another strong one for like a decently, numbered grade for these.
Super strong to me as a 6. I actually thought that was going to go for like half of what it did.
Yeah, or like, would you rather the 3 Alifa or the 6 Aquarela?
I'd rather the 3 Alifa.
Yeah, I agree. At the same dollar amount, I agree.
Yeah, it's the exact. Yeah,
save 3,600 feels like this is where I would want to be, at least.
That's where I'd want to be too.
This is really interesting. Like a PSA 9 record, cut removing Garincha. So just the single,
which I hate. And so this one also seems super high.
Yeah, that feels really strong for me. And I think that's also somebody not maybe realizing, that it's a half of what you typically see.
Yep. And what I prefer, I think the market also prefers the double, but I can't say that categorically. I just think the market generally does. I guess we could run some numbers and see, but
if you guys feel free to share in the chat, let us know what you prefer, or in the comments if you're watching it after we're done recording.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that one, but I feel like the market generally likes the double, but could be wrong.
All right, let's see. Crying Pele PSA 5 for 6,000. That's so really come down.
I thought this one was low for this particular one. Like, I'd much rather have this than the record.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with that as well. I mean, it's just that
And
9. 9 is super sexy for people who are. It's a 1958 Pele PSA 9, which is fun to say, but I agree. I would
yeah,
still prefer this.
yeah, and I think that the 9. I mean, I think there's maybe a 10. I don't know. And then here, I think the highest is a 7 with Crime Pele. So it's only both of them are one grade off, but I'd way rather have the Crime Pele. So I thought this one was a little low. I know that the ones and twos have been in, kind of the 2 to 3,000. So to get a 6 for double that, on the high end,
Yeah, seems like a really good deal.
feels like a bargain. Yeah.
Yeah, relative
So
for sure. Yeah.
relative. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, a PSA 8 Maradona for 4,200.
And we'll see a 9 trade here, I think, when we go through the rest of it, which is slightly more than 10, I think. Still the sticker's getting a lot of love. I mean, not as much as, at one point, remember the 10 allegedly sold and then quickly didn't ever close at golden for, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
But I still think this is a very coveted sticker. It's one of the most graded vintage stickers that we have.
And to get anything
and
7 or higher is pretty solid with these Panini stickers. So
yeah, and 8 is a tough grade, and 9 is obviously tougher. But yeah, it still feels like a pretty solid result in my mind for a non-rookie, Maradona sticker.
Yep, I agree. Imperia, PSA 8.
Crazy grade, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's got great eye appeal. Love it. I think we're getting, and I guess this is an elite auction, but people are paying elite prices for high grades.
Right.
For an early 1960s beautiful sticker, by the way, but not not one that I would probably put $3,000 behind in this market for me. So again, most of the ones we've been chugging through kind of seem stronger than I expected.
TTT Beckenbauer PSA 6, the headshot version.
Yeah, it seems cheap.
Yeah, it feels like that could have drawn a little bit more. Like I probably prefer that to the Imperia, to be honest.
I do. There's little doubt that I would prefer that to the Imperia. And then the only thing on this 6 is it probably should have had an MC. There was
you can see
a little
here.
strip down on the right hand side. Yeah. And this is what prevented me from bidding on it. It just felt like
maybe that price is, maybe this is just a good grade. Maybe this is closer to like a PSA 4.
Yeah, but another 6 in PWCC sold last month, and that was like right around the same price. And then a 7, one grade higher, sold for 4x. Like basically,
oh wow,
10 grand. So it's kind of a weird. And by the way, 7 is the next echelon. I think there's like 4 7s and maybe 1 8 or no 1 9. I think no 8s. But this one, I felt like it was weak for the grade, probably okay for the sticker as such.
PSA 8 Vanderhoot, Cruyff, 2000. Those have definitely took a hit or taken a hit.
Yep.
They, I think changing it 68 to 70 on the flip probably affects it more than we expected, or at least it definitely pushed it that way. And I think we do see a lot of them out there, and so I think just the general knowledge of collectors has really pushed it to where it is, I guess.
Yeah, and then we also had some of these overgrading issues on the back. So some of the higher grade comps that were overgraded kind of pollute the comps, and people are using the comps, and all that collectively is driving down the Vanderhoots, which for me is probably the least desirable of the rookie constellation anyway. given that it could be as far as 1970, and I just don't like the photo as much as the Pyrex, and then the 67, 68 Verlag is also a nice option. So
Yeah.
a lot of things coming to push those down. I feel okay about an 8, especially if you like the back. I didn't check this one carefully for $2,000 because he is an amazing player, right?
Yep.
But the Bobby Charlton wrapper below that raised a lot of eyebrows, and the Discord had a chat about this.
Yeah, I didn't get too involved in that. Do you want to share anything that was mentioned about it, or?
Yeah, just different points of view. You can see this as, hey, look at, he's a super important, player. This is potentially rookie material, or at least constellation. So therefore, it's a pop one, and so therefore you can create a narrative where you'd say 1,500 is pretty cheap for that. The flip side of that narrative is it's a damn wrapper. It's most likely 59.60. There's some people that think it could be really like 60 plus. So, where you sit on the fence, I don't know. I personally love the colors on it. I bid on this when it was significantly less than this closing price, but I think it's a cool item to have, and I would personally like to have one. Not willing to stretch to that amount, but I also don't fault people who did.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought too. It is a pretty cool piece. Being a wrapper versus a card / sticker, I can see there being maybe a little bit of a more limited pool of collectors. But yeah, it's one of those things, like those kind of oddball things interest me. Just at a certain level,
Yeah, you don't have many items that are in, Hebrew, right? So that's interesting. You've got again, the colors I think are really cool. There's a number of cards in soccer collections that are essentially wrappers or of wrapper-like paper.
Yep.
So the fact it's kind of a wrapper doesn't necessarily turn me off as much as maybe others. I just, it's more like if this was rock solid 58, I would have gone more than the 700 or whatever I bid. And even that, I actually thought originally I'd have a shot at 700. So not even close. Still a super cool item, and a lot of people were interested in it. And if people are talking about it, that means it's also good for the hobby. And other ones for the set, the Pele I think sold for 30,000 or something. Now that did have a clear 1958, I think, on the label, as opposed to 58 to 60, which this one has, and that hurts it a bit. But still, super cool item, and glad to see it in a Golden Elite too.
Yep. All right, I think we're getting down to the. This was one I kind of wanted to mention. The team. The Brazil team card, the Bremer, PSA 6 for $600. Like, that feels like I feel like that's low. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe it's just my bias towards that photo and everything. But I feel like those were selling really strongly to start when we started to see a few more Bremers out there, and I just feel, relative to some of the other things that we've seen from Bremer, even, this feels like a decent buy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I was an underbidder, but I was close, and when this auction was done, I went back and I said, oh man, that feels super low to me. I mean, Bremers are super hard, higher than 2s anyway, just because so many of them are pasted in, and it's such a great photo, and it's it's not just Pele, it's just the whole team, such a unique angle. So yeah, I was kind of kicking myself here. Congrats to the buyer on this one. I would be completely bummed if I was the seller. A 6 and this is super hard, and
I
to
think my
only get
expectation would
500.
have been around $2,000. Like if I was a
Yeah,
seller, because you always dream a little big, and
yeah,
like
yeah. But I would I kind of would have expected at least $1,000 in my pocket.
yeah,
So here to get 500 was probably a pretty decent punch in the gut. So sorry to the
yeah,
seller. Congrats to the buyer on this one. At
yeah,
least to me. I know that team cards have taken it on the nose generally. So they seem to have gotten they got a little far ahead of where they probably should have been during the boom, and they've taken it more on the nose since then. So not super surprising. It's just wow, what a great card for $600.
yeah, and that could just be why, like, where I'm saying $2,000, I'm totally anchored at the old prices.
Yeah.
All right, we already talked about this guy. Yeah, I think we got through the nitty gritty. Nothing else really catching the
Nothing else
eye.
huge. Yeah.
All right, let's pop over to the PWCC Elite, which there's pretty much nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
So this is there. It's the three, the Mbappe, the two Mbappes, and then the Maradona 9. And I have to scroll slightly down. So 10-8, which is what you were talking about. We had the 8 that went for 2,600, and then the 9 now at 10-8.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, how do you feel about that? That
I mean, it feels
differentiator
like a
between
huge
8
multiplier,
9.
right? Like 4x. But at the same time, I mean, getting into the 9s and 10s of, you know what I mean, of a very collected, big time piece of one of the GOATs. I kind of see it. People are really reaching to get the elite of the elite, basically. So
Yeah.
I think
Nine.
I have to go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and the 9 I think is the biggest one outside that 110, which I'm not sure if it ever got taken off of
Deserted,
the.
maybe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thought it was gonna be deserted, but I'm not 100% sure. I was just gonna pull up some card ladder because this one's one of the few soccer stickers that's actually in there to get a view. It feels like this is somewhat stronger than before. And so in general, to have one of the most graded stickers in vintage doing well, that's always a good thing, right? As a kind of market bellwether.
Yeah,
right?
sorry, I'm looking up the pop to see. I think that you're correct in regards to it being the top, and we'll see if it's gotten deserted. So
okay, and this is interesting now that I'm looking at, and we may have missed this one. This is interesting. So this 9 looks on March 2nd. So we haven't gotten to that one yet. There was an 8 that sold on Golden for 4,200. So the one that we just saw right now, because this was from a few weeks ago.
yeah, that was March 2nd. That was March 2nd.
Okay, so March. Oh, so the one we just saw right now is 4,200. I thought that was 28.
I thought it was too. I'll pull it up again, but
so I'm just looking at. Let me just focus on PSA. PSA 8. Okay, so I've got a January of 3,200 and a March of 4,200. So $1,000 up. Again, only 2 sales. But that's 31% growth just this year. That's in a PSA 8. The PSA 9. Let's see how far we can go back here. Let's go back 2 years. It was at 30K at the height May of 2022, traded down to 16K in October to 2022, and then this 9 sells for 10.8K. So it didn't kind of experience the full 80-90% drop. It kind of, if one would have traded in between of that, you probably would have assumed that it would have fallen in the 5K range, 5 or 6K, and then back up to 11K. So that's why I feel like there's some strength in this market. When you kind of look at where we are today and where we are not. And then pre-boom, it was, this sticker March 29, 2020 sold for 3,000. In a nine. Sorry, my dog's barking here.
Yeah, I can't figure out what happened with why we didn't see the 4,200, unless my brain completely shut down and it was the one we were looking at was 4,200, but I don't think I recall that being the case. I can't find it. But according to the pop reports, it shows that there is a 10 still out there for this. So I don't know if that is the one that there's question about or not, but
yeah, I think there is. I mean, the important thing is this sticker showing strength. It's a bellwether for the hobby, right? And no matter whether you look at it on a short term, meaning months, or on a long term in years, it feels like it's the trough is behind it, at least for now. Now, again, when you have those type of bounce backs, you tend to also get more supply influx, and then it may take another leg down, right? So it's really hard just to time the market, but regardless, interesting points for a general market commentary.
All right. So now these are I have a couple tabs up with the most recent PWCC weeklies. So these are the top sellers. This is for the auction that ended yesterday on the 10th of March. And, some decent sales, it looks like. We have the Toras Di Stefano 5 go for 18 or 1900. That's a tough grade. That's a good grade, I mean, for that issue in particular, because there's typically chocolate stains all over the back and really weird cuts and things like that. So to get anything over a 1 is pretty impressive, to be honest. So that was cool to see. What do we have here? A PSA 3 for 3,000. PSA 3.
I also wanted to point out a couple things. So, in a way, you could say that I mean, any way I think that I look at it, it feels like a big sale to me, because there was a PSA 5 that sold last November. So just whatever it is, 4 months ago, and it was a PSA 5 and it sold for $1,260.
Oh, okay.
So you get the SBC 5 now selling for $1,900. That's a pretty big number. And then last summer there was a PSA 6 that sold for $1,600. And so now to get a PSA 5 to sell for more than the PSA 6 did 9 months ago is, again, going to this general, this kind of strength that we're seeing, through the market in general that I was talking about at the beginning.
All right, a 9 Baresi for $1,500.
Yeah, I think that was about $1,000 a little while ago. There was where did the Roberto Carlos end?
1,300 for the 9, which is a crazy grade for that.
Yeah, so funny, on the Barese in January it sold for 1,000, but the previous ones it sold from 1,300 to 1,600. This one yesterday sold for 1,600 basically. So it kind of had a momentary blip and then it shot right back up against an all-time high of 2,500, which 1,600 versus an all-time high of 25 doesn't seem terrible, right?
Right.
A four
Yeah,
in
it's
that
probably because the
Navina
market
area.
was playing catch up with him. You know, like his all-time high. My guess is that it was after February 2021, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so because the market hadn't caught up to buying him when things were going insane.
Yeah, actually, the all-time high that I see was May of 23, ironically
Okay,
for him, and that was
nice.
2,500, which he was definitely a late mover.
We have this Miata that sold for 900. Feels that's a nice big sized issue.
Beautiful
Feels like a solid
photograph, love it.
name.
Yeah,
It's even got a little bit of like damage down here, and yeah, seems solid to me.
yeah.
These Vecchi Garinchas, a 2 for 750. Feels like that's kind of the normal now.
I lost out on that Figo. I wasn't even checking it. I know we usually do vintage here, but
Sure.
what was the Figo? Is it 91, 92 Panini?
92, 93.
Yeah. So there was an 8 that did 1,200 last July, and so a 7 doing a little more than half of that. So that's probably, I'd say, generally a tick up, a slight tick, not huge. Don't see any other comps on a 7. So
Yeah, it seems like there's some decent items in this last week's.
yeah, that look at let's see the Pele. Which Pele was that? That was the
the red and blue back PSA 1 for 660.
now that's low, but the back on this particular one was terrible. It had like chunks of leftover remnants on the back, but
Okay.
it still is a red and blue back. So I would just tell. See, there you go. Thank you. I would just tell people, make sure on some of these rare stickers you look at the backs before you bid. I know it's another click you need to do, but if you're going through the PWCC, especially if it's low grade, it's probably removed. So check your back. There's different, all ones are not created equal for sure.
Yeah, that's the truth. All right. Well, we kind of got to the end of that. What's that?
There was a red and blue Garincha if you go up to 1970, right there below. You see, no, go down. Right there.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, so that's also a red and blue back, a tough one to get. So that one went for 400 nearly. Very cool.
All right, and then this was from 2 weeks ago. There's a big hitter right here. The Lurati Miata that goes for 20,000. Nice looking 2.
Very nice.
Feels like it's kind of right in that range of reasonableness at this point.
Yep. Yep.
This 9 Platini surprised me a bit. 11,000.
Yeah, and I know that Brett was talking about this one. The back didn't look great to me on this one, so I was staying away. Again, they can be fine. I just nervous about the pop on that, and nervous about the back. So, but the Garincha 4 looked amazing.
Yeah, this is a pretty. I feel like this is like a great buy. Just because there can't be that many that are it says 6 graded higher. Yeah, I mean that's a primo piece, and to be able to get it for under $4,000 is pretty impressive. So
Yeah,
you
I
combine that
think,
because I think Brett Bob got both of these, right?
yeah, I think so. So,
Yeah.
you know, and back on the Lorati, yeah, basically the twos have been, you know, 19-2, 18-9, 19-7. I mean, they've all been right there. And now,
Okay.
you know, we get another, you know, 19-2 is just right exactly where you expect it to be in the past. There was a one that dipped down February of last year to 13-8, but all the other ones have been 18 and above.
Okay. So that seems the floor for the most part.
It feels like people to get into the club are willing to pay 18.
Makes sense. A rare Dixie Dean, 2800, and it's a PSA 5, which is a pretty good grade. So
Yep,
I feel
and there's
like that's
11
a
of these graded. There's 11 of these, which is about half as many as the rookie. It's slightly harder than the rookie. It's smaller. Obviously, it's a couple years after. It's pretty cool. He tried and failed on which one? Oh, on the Mesa, right? But I love this Roche. You know, I think there actually are a number higher than this, so this is kind of mid grade for the issue.
so 6 graded higher. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's like
that's
3 sevens, I think, and maybe even an 8.
okay.
So look at it's not. I mean, it's still a great sticker. You know, it was on my top 10 list. I think we'd mentioned this on the premium. You know, when I didn't have it, that Leonidas next to it, I was kicking myself because it's just such a great copy, and it's so hard to find great copies in this. It's just since I had one of these, and you know, it's a 1.5 that with decent eye appeal. You know, I decided I could keep it, but you know, looking back, I'm like, man, such a good grade on such a great sticker. Hard to pass that one up.
Yeah, it looks incredible for the issue, you know.
And the back is just so good.
This is pretty. These have dropped, but it's pretty nice to be able to see the whole
The whole white border.
The whole
Yep.
border, yeah. You don't get to see that in all the issues. There's a lot of miscuts, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
It feels like a good price to get in to get a 2 without a qualifier for 1,000.
Yep, no doubt. And then that was an interesting Pele. Hadn't seen that one before. The 67. It was pretty high. I think is it down a bit? Yeah, right there it is. It's the blue one. Yeah, I hadn't seen that one before. Never stuck. Pretty cool looking sticker. But it's late 60s, so it seems like it went for a pretty high amount for that being late 60s. Even though it is a pop one, so it's probably pretty rare. I had never seen it before, and it's kind of rare to have stuff in PWCC that I've never seen before. So, you know, that was I put a marker, but got blown out by the market. So some registry person's probably going after that because it is pretty cool. You and me both, Graham. I mean, a 4 is just so
that's
hard.
Monstrous.
Yeah.
Yeah, here's a yellow Eusebio for it's a PSA 1 for $500. Like I don't know if I've seen a yellow sell that low.
I have I've pre-boom, post-boom, never seen a yellow sell for $500. Yeah. It looks great to me. You know, I wasn't paying attention on this, and you know, whoever bought it, I think I'm assuming is got a great deal. I mean, certainly historically, if you're getting that at below, you know, the boom pricing, you know, it's a pretty important yeah, the back's not great, but it's typically a blank back. So does it bother you that much, that smudge? It doesn't bother me. So congrats to the buyer there.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it. I didn't have the opportunity to do as much digging at some of the other like eBay and some of the other auction houses. I did see there was a PSA 5 George Best A12 sell for a buy it now $27.50, which probably seems about right. Maybe a little bit of a deal.
Yeah, I'd say maybe a little light, but also okay.
Yeah, it's in that range of okay. And then that was really the only thing of like a well-known card that sold that kind of caught my eye on eBay that I scrolled through. There was a 1925 Eddie Hamel sell for like $800, which is an obscure player and card to sell. So that's kind of cool to see people willing to pay up on players that aren't as collected,
Yep.
Oh, Champ says he heard that the Champ went ham last night. 5 Guys. And then LB's asking who got the Bloomer Banes from Sale Room in February.
I do not know. It went for about 10 grand. If I'm not wrong. And I mean, I can say that it wasn't me. I just didn't like the art on that particular one. So, neither, here nor there, but I felt like the seller was probably disappointed after the Wharton sale that it only got that amount, but it wasn't surprising to me. I think I was talking with Scott and Bill about this before, and I think we were all kind of in the less than 10,000 range, maybe the 7 to 10,000 of where we thought it went, and it went kind of on the higher end of our range, slightly less depending on what currency and shipping you use. So,
Champ did go ham. He snagged the Baresi R9, the 2 unstuck red and blues, and the Golasso.
Nice. Wow. So what was the other unstuck red and blue? Besides you had the Pele, and then the Garincha was never stuck. Yeah. Calm down, Champ. Leave some scraps for the rest of us. Yeah. That's awesome. So hey, we got
everybody's popping in right now.
Today.
Yeah, it's
everybody's just popping in, getting off work,
That's right.
Good to see you, Vincent. We got the Champ, we got Sport Card Harry, Ed, Al B. I mean, we got Seb, we got the whole crew on here today. Oh, there was a Puskas. Missed that one, you bastard.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
What was so the Puskas red and blue went for how much then, Champ? And what was the grade? I didn't see it. PSA 3. Okay. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, good job on those. I think those are pretty cool, for sure.
Cool. Well, we made it through another one. We'll have a state of the market a little sooner in between, hopefully. So I think that the Golden Elite ends right at the end of March. So really early April, we should be doing the state of the market. So appreciate you guys being patient with us getting this knocked out. And sorry I was a little less prepared for this. I mean, like when I say less, like by like 5%, because I really don't prepare anyway. But appreciate you all.
Bill, you don't have to have complete honesty all the time.
I'm all about transparency here. And
when your mom's in the hospital, the bar is low. Okay, in terms of preparation.
Well, I don't set it very high monthly anyway, so it's like pretty good. Like I'm putting out a 0.9 standard deviation, or median performance, I guess. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Al, always a pleasure. If you guys are not members of the Discord, hit the link down below and join us. And we'll see you next month.
Take care, everybody. See ya. Bye.
I thought I hit end stream.
It's